Well, wouldn't you know who's back earlier than expected? Actually, probably not. I said I was going to read it quick, but here we are, quicker than you expected, chat. I've caught up completely on the great Heavenly Delusion. 67 chapters, I believe, in total. Yes, 60, big one, 7. And I've actually been sitting on it for like a day and a half, so, I finished it even quicker. It took me like 2 days to finish this goddamn shit. It was only like 30 chapters or something. What a time to be alive. Now, first of all, the first little portion here is going to be spoiler-free. That's why our image is rather vague this time, rather than the great collage we had last time. I still got the little gimmick of my little light-up thingy over there over the logo. It's pretty epic, if I do say so myself. Hold on, I gotta stop speaking for a second for you to see that it's changing. Oh my god, look at there. It went dim for a second. This is crazy. Now... I wasn't even going to consider doing a spoiler-free part of this until the great Elite RE, and now I know what you're asking. Who the fuck is Elite RE? Why do you keep talking about him? Figure it out, moron. Until he messaged me. No, he said something in a stupid stream last night. He was like, I hope part of it's spoiler-free so I can know what you think. And then I asked him just now all the questions he wants answered. So I think we will go through those as our outline for our spoiler-free section. I don't have as many notes because I was being lazy this time. And because there's a lot to remember, which I guess I didn't think so. Also, it's been a day and a half, so, I forget some things. Just stop judging me. So anyway, let me get this fucking moron's message up, and let me see what the fuck is going on here. Is it good? First question. It is good, chat. I am happy to report it is still very good. I think it's probably equally as good as the first stuff. I will say the second stuff, especially after I did a tiny little bit of theorizing, I listened to Elite RE talk. Not too many big reveals, I don't think, in this second half. The more I think about it, the more... Now, another question he has down here is, what is the appeal of the show? And I hate when Elite RE asks stupid questions like that. But generally, I think the appeal might be changing, because I think I went into it, and I think I was... Probably while going through, I was like, well, this is a great mystery show. I'm really invested in how the reveals will happen. And the more it's sort of become, I'm more interested in, like, the characters and, I guess, the mini little plots. Now, something interesting, and I think this might be the most interesting thing, or the best thing that Heavenly Delusion does for me generally, is that I generally hate the type of, like, episodic storytelling it does. Now, everything does, there's sort of new information being bled through every little mini-arc. But all these mini-arcs, a problem that I usually have with shows that do a lot of mini-arcs, I don't know, I just assume, like, The Walking Dead or something is like this. And I can't really think of any examples off the top of my head, though. I'm sure there's a million. Where it'll just be like, we spend a few episodes in this location, and then we move, and with this group of characters, and then we move on to the next one. I think two things Heavenly Delusion does really well is that the mini-arcs are very short. They're usually 2 chapters or 3 chapters. I think the Immortal Order was like 7 chapters or something, or probably not that much, probably like 5. And like maybe the Robin stuff was 3, but still it feels very brisk. It feels like we're not wasting our time. It never lets you get bored. But also, obviously, in all these mini-arcs, we are cutting to multiple different perspectives that are actually just different stories. And I think Heavenly Delusion does a great job. Like, I feel like I get super excited whenever we cut away from Kiriko and Maru. But I also think they're, like, the best ones. Like, I feel like they're our main characters, and I'm like, Kiriko and Maru, let's get back to them. Or I'm never disappointed when we cut back to them. But I feel like everything else is more interesting. Because usually the reveals are happening more in those other stories where it's like context of the situation we're in at the moment. So I think it does those two things very well to keep it interesting constantly. I have no idea if the anime does this. Maybe the anime does one Kiriko and Maru episode, then one kids episode, and keeps going back and forth. Somehow I very much doubt it. Though I did know from the skimming I did through episode 12, for the original video, that they were cutting back and forth. So anyway. Still, they ended the kids' storyline in the first season, seemingly with the Shiro and Mimihime reveal. Even though it's not that much of a hard reveal. So what a weird place to end it, especially what happens right afterwards. But no spoilers yet. But yeah, I think that's what Heavenly Delusion does the best. I will say, because after this, for the first part of the story, it very much was just like kids' storyline, current storyline. Obviously, as we get further, it gets a lot more complicated, and there's like 3 different timelines, and there's multiple different perspectives in those timelines. They're not timelines, but like time periods? I don't know. And I think this is greatly to its advantage. I will say a lot of the bigger, most overarching mysteries are still mysteries to me at the moment. I will say me and Alita rewatched that video on stream that tried to say that the glasses girl was that one, what do you call them? The man-eaters, or the Hiriko or whatever. Which is never confirmed. Though I have done some scrolling on the subreddit, and the subreddit does seem to believe that, like, just as fact. Assumingly just because the powers are similar, and it made Kiriko hallucinate. So we were trying to judge if that dude in the video had figured it out, or if he had been spoiled on something and then retroactively put it in the video to pretend that he had figured it out. Which I think is what Elite RE accused him from, maliciously. You know, Elite RE hates YouTubers, he's always shitting on them. Me, however, I'm always very respectful. So either it's not confirmed in the series, so either he looked on the Reddit or he did just figure it out or put it all together. Anyway, I will say a big thing for the old Heavenly Delusion is every time we're mentioning a name or something, I am tabbing over and looking at the wiki page to be like, who the fuck are you again? That's probably just a habit of me reading it so fast and generally being bad with names and stuff. And there's specific reveals I won't talk about until we get to the spoiler section where I was like, I know this is something. I know somebody just said the catchphrase that a character says, but I can't remember which character it is, and then figuring it out is a big aha moment that I liked a lot, but it's clearly you're supposed to understand the moment. It will be very interesting comparing this part to the part now that I'm going to be reading monthly. Now, apparently there is no chapter this month. Apparently we get 9 Heavenly Delusion chapters a year, and usually the author does 3, then takes 1 month off, 3, then does 1 month off, 3 doesn't, and apparently this is one of the months off. So I was like, oh my god, I get to do I caught up video, and then a few days later, because they generally come out on the 24th to the 26th, which is similar to Vinland Saga. What if it was coincidentally in like the same magazine as Vinland Saga or something? That would be crazy. So yeah, but apparently not. So I thought I was going to get 3 videos, but there's just 2 videos. I also was like, oh, I get to make theory videos now, but I don't really have any big theories at the moment either. But again, we'll talk about this more in the silly, what do you call it? Spoilery section. So that's the first general point, I guess. What was that from? Is it good? It's good. I will still say it's still not like breathtakingly good. I would still give it like a 7 or an 8, probably an 8, because it's so easy and brisk to read. But the emotional highlight is probably... I have a favorite thing, but the emotional highlight is still probably the Mimihime Shiro stuff. There may be more will hit like that on a bigger reread or a rewatch. I will also say I haven't watched the anime yet. Maybe my 3rd video can be complaining about the anime video. We'll see. We'll see if I watch it or not. I do have another thing that I might like as a decision more than that moment that we'll talk about in the spoilery section. But I still think that's like the emotional high point of the series. Though obviously it has room to hit higher highs in the future. So yeah, there's nothing like super outstanding. There's not a character where I'm like, oh my god, this is like one of my favorite characters ever. Though I think I do have a favorite character now, which is interesting. Should I have done a tier list? Should I try and find a tier list that I can do at the end of this video? That might be fun. We'll see if we can do it on the fly. But yeah, so it's still it's still 7 or an 8. It's not mind-blowingly great yet. Now what do I think it will be? I really think it's like intrigue, which I guess can only get you so far. It can get me in the door, it can make me read everything very fast, but I don't know if it has such a profound effect without sort of the, I guess, character moments to back it up. Not that the characters are bad or anything, I like them all. In fact, I don't think I have like a character that I dislike. Even the tall athletic dude from the kids storyline, who is supposed to be like an archetype, I don't like. Obviously, I think he's okay, and we get more of him, obviously, in the section we've got here. What other Elite RE questions have we got here? Does it feel like it's making progress? Yes, it is filling in the gaps a lot. I don't think there's been much progress on the bigger mysteries, but it is clearly seeding like more information so that you could whittle it down more. And I haven't really gone into the fan theories on the bigger questions yet, so we'll see. Also, the fan community for specifically the manga doesn't seem too big, so we'll see what's going on. Like, when I was looking up chapter reviews, there seems to be, like, 2 guys, and they don't do all the chapters. So maybe that's a market I'm going to corner, chat. Everybody's going to be watching my great Heavenly Control of chapter reviews from now on. We'll see. I can totally see, like, the month-to-month of this being torture of, like, oh, that wasn't very much, and it feels like I've forgotten everything, and what's going on here, etc., etc., but I do think if you're reading month to month and you have everything in your brain, like, oh, you know the characters and you're, like, anticipating certain characters coming back, the reveals of certain characters being in the future timeline or what happens to them, etc., or the twist regarding that would be more impactful. Are you looking forward to continue reading, he says. What a great question, of course. The appeal of the show, we already went back to that. And that was all of Elite Ari's questions. Is there anything else I want to say spoiler-free? In terms of Elite Ari's fears, he's like, oh, the production of Season 2 is bad. And I think that might just be an anime... That's just the animators being smart, right? You got to get them in the first season with the good animation. Then these morons that are hooked, like Mushoku Tensei, like One Punch Man, they're already hooked. Or like Attack on Titan, and how terrible the end of that anime looks. Mappa sucks, chat. These big fans, they're already into it. We already did our best to try and get people in with how good the show looks. Fuck them, is what the great anime studios be saying, and they're very intelligent for it. That's why Chainsaw Man's not going to look as good next time, even though it already looks like trash Elite Ari. So I think he's probably right on that, but that's just something I've been thinking about of like, oh, that's kind of like a pattern, huh? Is there anything that looks good the whole time? Mob Psycho, shut up. There is, like, another example, right? I guess One Piece looks the best it's ever looked, probably, right now. And why would you do that? Like, what is the motivation there? It has to be from the talent, right? It can't be, like... I guess maybe they would get more money? Why would you ever put more money in? I guess that's, like, the same thing with Pokemon. It's like, why would they ever try harder? What's the incentive here? To have a claim, I guess? Which they might... I don't know. People do care about that. At the end of the day, there are people involved in most businesses that don't just care about money. So maybe that's what's happening. Anyway, Fox Season 2, it's going to suck. There was another fear Elite Ari had that, like, oh, the mysteries can't keep being good. I think on that front, most people would be satisfied. Maybe they would be unsatisfied in, like, the Attack on Titan sense of, like, we've been going to the basement for 7 seasons now, and we still haven't got there. A bunch of bullshit in the fucking Uprising arc. Like, I give a fuck. Can we just get to the basement, please? Maybe? I don't know. It's... again, the whole of... Unless the second... Wait, the first season was only 13 episodes. So I was going to be like, unless the second season is only 12 episodes. Even then, I don't think there's enough material yet to fit into that with, I assume, how the pace went with that first one. Though we would be getting to it soon. And maybe those bigger reveals will happen at the end of... around when that would end. So, the point is, I don't know yet. But I think if you're spoiler-free, you should get the fuck out of here. We don't want you here no more, illiterate pieces of shit. How about you learn to read? You ever considered that? You know, maybe color's a bad thing. You ever think about that? But anyway, that's it. That's the final warning. Everybody get out of here. 3, 2, 1, etc., etc. Big spoilers incoming. I don't know which spoiler I should scream in about 3 seconds, but I'm going to scream one of them. The director is in that kid's body. Crazy. She's not dead. Tokyo's not dead. This is crazy. The director's the best character in this fucking manga. And maybe it's a recency bias, because I guess not all of her chapters have been the most recent ones. But they have been. But she's, like, easily my favorite character, I think. She's, like... And it is a big thing that I respect the series for, because I remember being introduced to the director, and obviously the Promise Neverland, like, comparisons you make immediately, and obviously all the, like, Isabelle and all of them, and all the other humans you see, they're all, like, evil. They're like, oh, they're just in on the plan, they're just making you ripe and supple for consumption. And obviously, part of the director is kind of like, oh, I need another brain to extend my life and stuff. And you think maybe, especially towards the end of the first season's breadth of content, you're like, oh my god, she just wants a kid so she can live forever. Boring is this. Now, this is a thing Elite Ari did say now that he's gone. We can shit on him. But Where it was like, oh, the director, the twist that she just is like making him so she can have a new brain so she can be immortal is disappointing. Which is not the full breadth, which is a word I'm saying a lot apparently, for her motivation, which I liked a lot. Because the director, when she's first introduced, doesn't seem too evil. And then she seems a little crazy, and the part where she gets out of the wheelchair is great, and you're like, oh, what a bad young lady. Except she's very old, Chad. But also that has a goofiness to it. And I like that it's being paid off now that we're beginning to really like her character when she's in, I'm not going to remember the little girl's name who she told over, but the little girl that's in the robot, isn't that crazy? And she tragically is going to die, and she's going to be a Hiriko, and that's like her old mistake, and because she went into the body of the little one, oh, it's so tragic and fitting and stuff. It's just like great. Minaka is her name right now. Mikora. That's because she was looking after Maru and stuff. This is crazy. But yeah, like her retaking the stuff, her ordering the kids around, her having a crush on the little boy that definitely looks like a girl. Now, I don't know if all of them are hermaphrodites, or if it's just... Now, it would make sense if they were all hermaphrodites. And then maybe consciously their bodies choose whether or not to be a boy or a girl, because remember, Tokyo had breasts. And it seems like the boy ones don't. But I don't know if it's just like them subconsciously choosing to be a boy and therefore. And then there's sort of ones that are in the middle, like the assassin girl. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. I think she's a girl, but maybe she's a boy, and she's got both, and she's showing them off. I forget her name. I'm not going to remember. But her with the other girls, or the one kid, and her getting like a crush on him and being weird about how her body's reacting, etc., etc. Her being like this little tyke and like telling everybody what to do and everything like that, and her being like, heaven's real mission, and she like actually believes in the cause and stuff, and she dislikes the modern Japanese society and wants to help the NEETs and stuff like that. I like that that's also part of her character, even if she's a little selfish. Now, obviously, this is probably going to end in her being very unselfish, because we'll get like her proper mindset into helping Mario stuff, etc. So that's all cool and stuff. She's like my favorite character. She's the best, obviously. She's super cool. And she's like the first thing I would want to talk about coming out of the reading these bunch of chapters. Felt like there was one more thing to say on her front. Obviously the little... Oh, she was the reveal I didn't get. Because you go back to the character and you're like, she in the Earthquake, and it's clearly she's had a brain surgery thing. And I'm like, okay. It's probably the director. But then when she says I'll keep trying till I win thing, I didn't get it. I'm like, I know a character says that. And then I looked it up. Like, I literally Googled Heavenly Delusion, I'll keep trying till I win, but nothing came up. And then I thought it through and I was like, it's probably the director, right? And then I was like, all right, I'll just continue assuming that it was the director that said that. And then eventually I found out that it was the director or something. I went back and I lucked into seeing it again. So like, oh, this is epic. But there is stuff like that where I'm like, oh, you're this? And apparently there was a director of the orphanage that's also called the director. But then when... and then Alidori was right about the doctor being the doctor. And then when the doctor says right before he kamikaze, he's like, oh, the director went to that town. But it was actually both directors. But Kiriko reacts like the director, thinking it's her director, but we react thinking it was our director, and they're both there, and it's Mitaka Square or whatever, and it's like, oh, clever show. Also the girl, and I think you're supposed to think this when you're first introduced to the town where the doctor is, and the big, which is the older girl, Hiriko. Like, there's a scene where it seems like it's the other older couple, where it's not Shiro and Mimihime, it's the other two. And I think you're supposed to think it's them in that town when somebody walks in the uniform, but then it's revealed that it's actually the assistant director and one of the other kids that I still can't place, and I actually don't really remember even after I looked her up. So that's interesting. I love that we got the third companion. It's the robot, and it's the other girl. I keep forgetting that. That's crazy. I love that. I'm jumping all over the place. There's also the stuff at the very end where there's like an assassin robot or something because we can't sense its presence. I wonder if it's like a Mina or something and that's going to be the reveal, but it's clearly going to be some sort of reveal. or another student got put into in a robot and it's like got a killer identity or something, and then our good robot will have to confront it or something. Could be crazy. We're jumping all around. I completely forgot that there was a director to the orphanage. So when we started getting the flashback of that dude and he's like killing people back in the old world, and then he leaves his pants behind, and then this calamity happens, and I was like, why are we? I guess this is a new guy. Okay, he's gonna intersect with the plot somehow. But then it's the guy that was looking after Kiriko and her brother and stuff when they were younger and ran away. And then we got the Robin backstory, which is like, Robin's just being a nice kid for his little sister, and then his fucking little sister died, but it's also his fault because he would get mad at her all the time, so she didn't want to tell her when she got hurt, and that's like something kids do, and it's like, oh my god, it's so sad. And then he starts like killing people, and it's like, what are you doing, Robin? You're a little sicko. And then he also shoots the sister in the head, a reveal he already called. My goodness. Also, the reveal that one of Mitika's friends is the bird thing that we killed at the very beginning, and you don't get it until you see her power like the third time, and it's got the little thingies. I'm just jumping all over the place, chat. Then the incel dude that wants to marry the girl, he kidnaps her and puts her in the thing, and they got to cut her out the top, and she's cute and stuff, but she's already married, and it's crazy. And then Mitika does the joke later that she's already married, because to that old dude, who I don't know if it is the old dude that we met that one time that was looking for the Immortal Order or something. Anyway, crazy. Everything's going on. Everything's happening. I guess the overarching mysteries that we still don't have answers for is what was going on with Asura, or Mina, and what actually caused the calamity. Because it seems like it is like that planet that came out of nowhere, like hitting the thing. But I'm assuming there's got to be like 3 more twists to it, because again, we're never actually seeing it. Now, the one time we did see, it seemed like it hit Europe, and then like only the tremors hit like Japan. So I don't know if like, also, how do the man-eaters come into this? Like, why are the kids turning into that? Is just because they're genetically altered and stuff. We've also got like the one kid thing that Tokyo like put its hand out to when she was looking at the thingy. He didn't want to do the mission. It's clear that like they intercepted some sort of help that maybe would have stopped the collision and stuff, and that the director maybe wanted the world to end, etc. But we've already forgiven her for that, everybody. She's my favorite character. Obviously the very beginning bit is like talking about how everybody, like how we got the gun, and how like what happened with Tokyo and her getting released when that little thing comes back. The monster dude comes back and frees her. I also didn't realize that there were 2 kids. I think that was a twist, and that one of them was a clone, and that one of them's got the circle. Now, I'm pretty sure Maru is going to end up being the clone, because it's going to like test our perception of like, oh no, like you thought he was the real thing, but he was a clone the whole time. I think they pull that twist in like the Spider-Man comics, right, where it's like our Spider-Man is one of the clones the whole time. Isn't that crazy? And you have this weird like prejudicial, no, he has to be the real guy moment. So I think that's what's going to happen. I wonder if we meet Toriko and Kona and stuff. I think we probably do. I don't think they'll be dead. And the brother, I wonder if the brother's completely different, or if it's like a girl or something. And it'll be interesting how that dynamic is written with Maru and stuff like that. I'm just like scrolling through chapters, and like, I remember this manga storyline. That girl was mad that the other girl was a way better mangaka, and then she wanted them, and then they wanted to go and get the book, but then I like how sometimes they just run away from Hiriko's and are like, oh, I'm not dealing with this electricity one in the water here, fuck this bitch and her manga, and then they go back and they luckily find another one. It's pretty cool. I do think the dynamic of cutting to a million other like backstory things is cool. Oh, I guess one of the biggest twists is the one Hiriko we find that's like 400 years old. Which is why I think it has to be like an alien thing. Or something's happening. Because it's 400 years old, and there's an implication because the old lady goes back and then we sort of don't see her again. That one might have broken out, and I think we'll probably meet that one again, and maybe like it's super extra powerful or something, or it's like the final boss or something. It would be a very quaint and heavenly Delusion way to introduce the final boss, don't you think? And yeah, so there's something interesting afoot there. Again, I haven't really delved into the community theorizing aspect yet. So I don't know what the opinions and stuff on that are. I'm just thinking it through, you know. But it's definitely like broken out, but it was really old and it was brittle and held down and stuff, and there was something about purpose. And obviously Maru is like concerned that at the end Kiriko's just going to leave him after the job is done, and Kiriko's like, my only purpose in life right now is to protect the great Maru. And they're having a little thingy. Also, I guess we should talk about this. We've got the are we shipping them thing, which it seems to be increasingly leaning into the fact that we are, which is very odd. I don't know how I feel about that. Because she's clearly like she's like jealous when he's talking about other girls, and like when he's complimenting other girls, and she's having like weird dreams of him naked and stuff like that. Maybe Heavenly Delusion is about gender, because everybody's like, oh, it's not a trans thing, it's literally just a brain surgery thing. But we've had a few brain surgeries now. I guess we just have the director one, right? And the Kiriko one. But one of them's just the same gender and the other one's different. Though we don't know if the body the director in is also a hermaphrodite or not. Which is possible. Also there's like implications that maybe Kiriko is also one of the kids or something, right? Somebody says something. I can't remember if it's just the director part that I'm confusing. And I was like, oh, when he said director, he was like, oh, I think the director took the kids over there or something. There's also the case of like the vials that Maru's like transporting. Like, I think, well, now that Kiriko's in, maybe she gets the disease, but Maru's going to get the disease or something. And he's going to be like, oh, I got to use this on myself or something. Because, I don't know, maybe the clone doesn't need, or maybe the clone does need the injection, but the real kid wouldn't. I don't know if it's supposed to be like humans shouldn't create artificial humans or they'll become monsters. Like, if that's supposed to be part of the theme, which is kind of lame. It is very interesting that it seems like increasingly as we do rely on technology and convenience just takes over, that like we're going to have this large swath of like test tube babies bad, AI bad, increased like digital girlfriends bad. Like all of our media from a certain period will be like a warning about how that's bad, and we'll just in retrospect think they're all like retarded and outdated. Because that's really funny, because I feel like society is definitely heading in all those directions. But sort of now we find that stuff scary, so we're like, no, you can't go into a fantasy world and live your whole life or whatever. That's like not good. You have to live in the real life. But really those are just like sort of the arbitrary, like it feels good for us to think that. And it's like completely arbitrary and stuff like that. Heavenly Delusion's not immune to that though. It's maybe Mina is just a generic evil AI, and making clone babies is a bad thing or something. Shaking our finger in your face, you shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, I went on a thematic tangent when I think I was talking about stuff. Where I was like, oh, I'm also not sure who the girl... I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be Kiriko or not, but I don't think so, because I'm just going through this chapter now. The girl that has like a crush on Robin in like his flashback. It's not Kiriko. I just figured out. It's definitely not. Because she was kind of cool, but I don't know if this was just like a gimmick to introduce the flashback and we'll never see her again. Or was she the girl that was like hooked up to the man-eater or something? I don't know. I'd have to look into I'd have to look it up, I guess. And Robin also having like the sexy like like what do you call those babysitters as like a child look after her that she's jealous of. That was all cute. But that is the case where it's just like for like 15 chapters I forgot about this storyline, but now it's back. Like I think the director in the kid's body thing was like that, where it like just wasn't around for like 15 chapters, and I feel like there's one we haven't seen in a while either that's like that. And then suddenly we were cutting to like Amaru as like a kid, with a few of the staff members, and they gave him to like the orphanage stuff, and it's like, oh, that's where that comes from. I feel like there's another one. Oh yeah, like Shiro and Mimi Hime. We're probably not finished with that, and same with the older couple. Though we did cut. Obviously, we did get the older dude, and he had like a kid. Oh, and the reveal that the kid is the Hotel King, of course, and he's obviously dead. He dies fighting the cool assassin lady, who I haven't really talked about much, but she was pretty cool, and she became bros. And when her and Maru fought again, I was like, there's no way he's winning. And then slowly as the fight continued, I was like, oh my god, I love Heavenly Delusion. We don't have to draw this out anymore. Like, we're literally doing the rematch right here, and we're gonna put it behind us, and he's gonna beat her. And I was like, oh my god, this is great. Action's lame. I don't want a third fight. And it was clearly like it seemed like set up for him being like over arrogant. Like last time I was just distracted, bitch. I'll beat you this time, and then he gets beaten in 2 punches. But no, he beat her. It was crazy. We also had this Scarface guy who was like, it seemed to be like a go around the rules is morally good thingy, which was epic. And he was like gambling on the side and stuff, but he was still a good guy. But I was waiting for the shoe to drop and for him to be a bad guy. Pretty cool. Anyway, and I also liked how like it seemed like perhaps like our 2 main characters would be like hunted by the Reconstruction Corps the whole time. Like they seem to be doing good in the world, but they're bad for our characters type thing, because that first branch would put like a hit out on them. But then in like that, when they get to the other branch, like that doesn't matter at all. And there seems like we will be following up on that sort of internal politics in the future, because it was like, oh, they dressed up the 2 guys that came with the assassin girl in like their uniforms and sent them back to like send a message or something. So I don't know if there's going to be like a reconstruction war or something at the climax. We'll see. And then we've got him fighting the tentacle monster, crazy. And and the assassin girl has like a final form Sasuke looking thing. But she gets dizzy when she does it or something. And it seems like maybe the doctor and the assistant director were kissing on the side, but they never got married, chat. I also know the location of the island and stuff, and we're going there, etc., etc. I'm still not certain how the heaven stuff is going to resolve. Like, oh, where is Mom? Oh, never mind, I just figured it out. Mari's going to be like, my heaven is wherever you are, Kiriko. Let's kiss. Or something like that. Oh my god, it's going to be the friends we found along the way and we're going to be mad. But I guess the audience can't be mad, right? Because we're probably actually going to go to the old facility and we're going to find some stuff out there. So if we didn't go there, maybe it would be... Also, it's weird that Kiriko didn't have a period until she was like 19 or something. So that's a little wacky. I don't know if there's going to be an explanation there or something. No, I don't remember what to say. Oh, I guess I had like my 4 notes. More Shiro and Mimi Hime. Last time I was vaguely referring to things that Alidori's probably not going to like, and I feel like he thinks that story is like done, but for us to be getting more of them is interesting. The stuff with the kids that right as they get out and they're all like adjusting to like the real world was very interesting. I liked like the 4 older ones all got like a hotel room or something and were together, and then the other 2 get married, but Shiro and Mimi Hime don't get married. They're like lagging behind, and it's like, what are you doing, guys? I do hope we get more of them, because again, that's like the most invested you are in characters and stuff. Obviously, the first little arc we get is the rape girl stuff, where she kills her rapist, and she accidentally got a guy that wasn't her rapist's hand cut off and banished. And because initially how it's set up, it's like, oh, the guy that didn't actually do it, but we think gives like an excuse, like, I was here with my wife the whole time, and the wife is like, he totally was, and you're like, that evil bitch is covering for him. But then it's like, no, it wasn't that guy. It was a different guy who then starts gloating and then gets away. But then she's tracked him down, and she was like, oh, I'm like fighting this monster, this man-eater, to get courage to go and fight him. And then her arm disattached because she cut off her own arm as penance for getting that other guy's arm cut off. And then she dynamites his penis. And then the girl that he's currently like sex trafficking is like mad at her for killing him. And it was just like, what a storyline. This was crazy. This was great. What is the immediate one after that? Because I feel like I'm missing one before they show up at the Reconstruction Corps again. I think it's probably the incestual family one, where they're just like the thing. Also, the weird radio host that I'm also pretty sure are kids. That was weird. We get confirmation about the fish girl, as I'm seeing here. Oh yeah, and like the three of the... Because some of the, like... we haven't seen what happens to the glasses girl. And I think that's one of the storylines we haven't caught up with in a while. So that's another one, because yeah, we're fighting... I'm scrolling through chapter 52, chat, if you want to follow along at home. That all happens while we're fighting the assassin girl, whose name I still can't remember. Ties to the land. Yes, this is the incestuous family one. And then after that, what are we doing? Oh, we're seeing the doctor become a buff boy. And some of them are all living together in the thing even afterwards, and the husband of the director and stuff. And at one point the director, the husband of the director is like, "Oh my god, are you in the doctor's body? This is crazy." But it's like, "Oh nah, JK." We're seeing the impact here. And then yeah, we're introduced to the reconstruction stuff, I think. Oh my god, I got all the arcs. The reconstruction stuff's kind of long, huh? What the fuck's up with that? Oh, and the director trying to get into the PC or to access Mina, and you're like ready for her to fuck up, but she never does, and it like totally puts you on her side, and she's like reacting really good and stuff. But then the impact happens as soon as she does, and she doesn't get it, and I was like, oh, well, that sucks. They still cucked us, but they like made a good character moment out of it rather than a bad character moment. I liked that a lot. What a great scene. But yeah, then we're up to the reconstruction apartment. So I think I've covered everything, chat. Everything there is to cover in Heavenly Delusion on heavenlydelusion.com. What a manga, what a time to be alive. Everybody's super excited. I don't think I missed anything big to cover. I guess a big thing at the end has to be Tokyo and Maru meeting, right? Because it's sort of like, that's kind of the initial setup of the whole show, and like chapter 1 and 2 is like, oh, they're coming to meet us, but then you don't realize that it's the past and the present. Oh, the past and the future. Past and the present? Past and the future? What's the difference? Who knows what the part of the present is in a story, huh? So yeah. Wouldn't that be crazy if at some point we start flashing to the future and it's just Kiriko alone and she's like an old lady and she's like mad about something and you're like, oh no, Maru definitely died, but then it recontextualized that Maru broke her heart or something? That would be crazy. I don't think that's going to happen though. But it would be a fun way to play with the format and the structure. I can't think of nothing else. Wait, did I go through all my other notes? I actually don't think I did. Oh, apparently the only other note I have is apparently we're probably only getting 100 chapters or something. So this was from like an old Reddit post I saw. You know, these manga, they never know. But that would make sense, right? That would make us only just over halfway, so I could totally see that happening. But I also saw a Reddit post that was like, and the author said he planned everything out from the beginning. Now, how intricately, like, the structure of this story is that I'm liable to maybe believe that. Like, people say that about everybody, right? Isayama planned everything out when it was pretty obviously he didn't. And the one example people always pointed to was really stupid. I'm trying to think of other examples of things people said people had planned out. Obviously, George says he doesn't, and Berserk obviously wasn't, and those are the only long-running stories I know, you know? So, Oda says that he's always had One Piece's ending in mind. Probably seems accurate, but obviously there's some twists and turns. When he admitted that he made, like, Law 1 week before the fucking chapter came out, and now he's the most important character of all time. But anyway, I don't know how we're ending or the timeline of that, and et cetera, et cetera. So I guess, at least for the first chapter that comes out, I'll probably try and do a chapter review, and then I'll see how I feel, because that'll be like a month from now, and I'll be like, do I want to let chapters, like, pile up before I read them, or do I want to read everything as it comes out? It'll probably be on a whim. But even then, if it's monthly, like, I'm sure in a month I'm going to get a whim at some point to read more Heavenly Delusion. I'm going to think about it for a second and be like, I wonder what's happening, and, like, read the chapter. I feel like in my whole Attack on Titan run, which was like 6 or 7 years. I feel like there was only like one point where I got behind for a few chapters. But then catching up on those few chapters was like the coolest thing ever. But anyway, I think that's it from us here today. We'll see. Maybe more anime content, tier list, theory video if I start looking through things, watching YouTube videos, etc. So stay tuned. Maybe more. Maybe if you have any requests or any ideas, you can put them in the comment section below. But with that being said, we're ending. Support links in the description below. Thanks!